Welcome to another one of our videos where we look at some of the oddities around London that just lay there waiting to be discovered. We have an old drinking fountain, we've got a very modern clock, and we've got a road which is probably one of the oldest in London. Stick with us, we've got history and modern bits all combined together. Now here we're at Newgate, which is where Holborn Viaduct also meets the Old Bailey, and we're here for London's first drinking fountain, which is here. Now, Smithfield Market, which is just up the road, was once a slaughterhouse, and anxious herds waiting the butcher's blade were at least granted a drink of water at the cattle trough on West Smithfield. Now, the trough bears a logo of the Metropolitan Drinking Fountain and Cattle Trough Association, the only agency for providing free supplies of water for man and beast in the streets of London. The association was set up in 1859 by Samuel Gurney, who was an MP who was alarmed by the quality of London's drinking water after it was found some of it had a cholera in it and led to an outbreak. So he put one here, that's his name going across the top of it, and it's actually attached to church railings. And the reason for that was the church was keen to be seen as patron of the poor and to provide an antidote to beer. Huge crowds gathered for the fountain's inauguration on the 21st of April 1859, and Mrs. Wilson, who was the daughter of the Archbishop of Canterbury, was the first to test the water and taste it from a silver cup. Now the water came from the New River, and the inscription urges thirsty passers-by to replace the cup. Now, by 1870, the Drinking Fountain Association had installed 140 fountains in London, many of which have survived and we have featured on previous videos. What I love about London is the amazing mix of the old and the new, because 2 minutes away from the fountain we have this. This is King Edward Street, and here we're right by Christ Church Greyfriars, which we featured in a previous video. And it's this clock here, when you look up, that we've come to see. Now, this Newgate Street clock was presented to the City of London by members of the Worshipful Company of Clockmakers to celebrate the company's 375th anniversary. So the design of the clock draws its inspiration from the work of Joseph Windmills, a 17th century clockmaker whose first workshop was at the junction of Newgate and St Martin's le Grand in the city. Now the wandering hour dial was devised for domestic clocks in the mid-17th century and immediately adopted by a few leading London makers. The clock is 2 metres in diameter, with the Clockmakers Company emblem at the centre of the dial. The whole mechanism's been adapted, and what it does is it uses state-of-the-art electronics, and it's got a stainless steel dial which makes the use of modern technology such as LEDs and GPS signal correction, and is wind and weatherproof, which is a good thing for a blowy day in London. So let's go from a really modern clock to a really old road. And you're looking at this thinking, it's St Paul's and it's closed at the end there, and this looks extremely modern with office towers. It does, but the clue is in this name. It's Watling Street. Now Watling Street is a historic route in England that crosses the River Thames in London at London Bridge, which was used in classical antiquity and throughout the Middle Ages. Now it was used by the ancient Britons and paved as one of the main Roman roads in UK. Now the road started down in Dover, came through London and went out towards Wales through St Albans, which of course are all major Roman places. It's believed that this piece of road, Watling Street here, is one of the oldest pieces of road in London, and it wouldn't have gone through where St Paul's currently is, around to Marble Arch, and then up through the Edgware Road out towards Wales. But anyway, that's a different story. This is the original Watling Street, and that's where it would have headed. Now what I find absolutely incredible is you've got all these people walking down here, and I bet you nearly none of them know that this was an old Roman road. To put some context and dates into this, now the Romans began constructing paved roads shortly after their invasion in 43 AD. Now the London portion of Watling Street, which is where we are now, was rediscovered during Christopher Wren's rebuilding of St Mary le Bow in 1671 to 1673, which is a church we'll be featuring at another time, which followed the Great Fire of London. I think it's also fascinating to see how narrow this road is now, because when the Romans built it, it was between 7.5 to 8.7 metres, 25 to 25 metres wide. So, had you seen any of these three before? If so, do let us know in the comments down below. And it also goes to prove what I always say, when in London, you need to make sure you look up. Unless, of course, you're walking down Watling Street, in which case you need to look down at the old road. London is amazing and it's got so many nods to history, and we've put a video up in the top right hand corner of another 3 great things from London's history. So if you click on that, I'll see you in there.